Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I heard the music when it started, but
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
All right, there we go. My microphone had got looked around. Okay. I bet that's why it didn't work. And I did that like Zoom interview yesterday with them ladies from that job, and I had to use my regular laptop microphone and not the my microphone. I couldn't figure out why, but I bet it was unplugged in too.
Yeah.
All right. So we have with us today, guys, Katrina, and she is going to tell us her story. And as always, any questions, comments, concerns, anything anybody wants to say along the way, feel free. I don't know, when people like to give their whole journey, I don't like to hear it before the show because I always like to be surprised and I get into them and I don't want to hear that, I don't want it to seem like I'm not interested if I've already heard it. So I like to hear it for the first if we're not talking about something specific. So this is all new to me too. So I'm excited to hear it. Feel free, you can start wherever you want. This is your story. Tell it, if you want to start in your childhood, if you want to start, in your addiction, wherever you want to start, it's up to you. And we'll just take it from there. Nice to meet you too. We have actually only had a few conversations. She was actually one of my easier people to get ready. Usually I'd like do a phone call and explain the app and then we get on like a face to face, but she kind of figured it out on her own. So it saved me, saved us the time. So I've had like my week, I felt like I didn't do anything. Like I felt like I wasn't doing anything for the show. I was like, I'm going to be unprepared, but it was just because you were made it so easy on me. So thank you for that. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. So, I'll start with my sober date. My sober date is 12/2/21. Um, so I'm from Stamping Ground, Kentucky. It's in Scott County. Um, that's where I started out at, I guess. So my mom and dad got married when I was one, divorced when I was two. Um, my mom is an alcoholic and a drug addict. My dad was a drug addict. Um, so I don't really like to stay in the problem too much because we all know how to get high. We all know. But I just got like some major parts in that. But yeah, girl, like my mom. So she left me when I was 8. She went to Florida. She always chose men over me all my life. So yeah, she went to Florida and living with my grandmother, and there was some child molestation going on in the house with my grandmother's husband. Um, and then actually, my grandmother was allowing it. Once I told her that it was going on, she manipulated, an 8, 9 year old into telling me that she couldn't be alone because he was a lot younger than her. Um, she didn't want to live alone, and I was Nana's girl, so I pretty much did whatever to make her happy. And then at about 10, I started running away because I was just so scared and didn't want to be there anymore. So I started running away. And running away became something I did my whole life from then on. I ran away from every problem that I came in front of. So I ran away so much to the point where they put me in group homes. Um, my dad got me back. I would say it was between 10 and 11 because I was running away and he took me to Louisiana with my stepmother and my sister. And there was some abuse with my stepmother. So, because my dad was a truck driver, and I would try to tell him, but I don't know if he really believed me or I don't know. But I wound up getting put in like a little juvenile detention center down in Louisiana, and my grandmother came back down there and got me. Of course, I'd rather be home than in a detention center, no matter what was going on. So she promised that none of that would happen again, and it didn't. But I just wasn't happy. I didn't want to be around him, period. So I became problem child on purpose. And so all that said, I wound up in foster care in Somerset. I was in the adoptive program. And I was a problem child there. Anytime I got close to, anybody, I would push them away. I started running away from the foster homes. They put me into the group home, and I hated the group home because the group home was more strict. There was more kids, but there was a couple foster families that there was one that locked us in our rooms all day. There was one that locked up the food. We couldn't get to the food. They would feed us once a day. But what we pretty much ate was what we got at school. So, and then I finally found a good foster home, and it was like the more that they loved me, the more I ran away. So I even ran away from things that loved me. I guess I don't know. It was crazy, but my dad wound up coming back and got a good lawyer. He divorced my stepmom. He had custody of my sister. My stepmom, he wound up finding that she's crazy. She was like really crazy. So he came back when I was almost 16 or right at 16. Got full custody of me, brought me back to Stamping Ground. And life was great. But I was a very depressed child. I tried to commit suicide over a little breakup from school. I think I tried to commit suicide a few times. I would always do it by taking a bunch of Tylenol or a bunch of Percocets. I remember stealing my dad's whole bottle of Percocets and took all of them. They were the yellow bananas. But anytime Daddy said no, I had to do it. Anytime. And now that I'm older, my kids are older, I tell him all the time, Dad, I wish I'd listened to you. I wish I would have listened to you. I have a great dad. I do. I have an amazing dad. I just wish that he had never been with my stepmom. You know what I'm saying? I could have been with him all my life. Like that was the only problem there. But anytime, like I said, anytime something was going good, I had to mess it up somehow. But there was let's see, how old was he? 26. And I was 16. And Dad said no. He already had a kid, didn't take care of her, and he was a friend of my aunt's. So I would go over and stay the night with my aunt all the time, which my dad knew something was going on. Well, I wound up pregnant. And I've left out a whole lot from my childhood, just so you know, a whole lot. But I wound up.
Like I said on the phone too, feel free, talk as much as you want. You're welcome to come back as many times as you want and share as much of your story. I know that we like to be really careful about not staying in the mess, and obviously we don't want to re-traumatize you also. So if, always don't say anything that could do that. But I also think it is important to let people know that like you have experienced terrible things. Like, I grew up in a household that I consider, really like, two addict parents, drugs all around, but I didn't experience the things that you did. You experienced some tough stuff, man. And you've came back. And I think that inspires hope for a lot of people, because when people feel like they're that bad hurt and damn, I mean, it's easy to feel like you can't do it or you're too far gone, or something like that. So I really think it helps to talk about the mess a little bit. And I know it's tricky and we have to tread carefully, but I think it's important,
Yeah. Well, there was so many times out in the madness that I literally told myself that I'm way too far gone. There's no help for me. And I sincerely believe that. It's crazy to see where I'm at now. But Yeah, I wound up pregnant, and my dad dropped me off at the guy's doorstep. And I hadn't even graduated school, none of that. And he said, "You're going to be just like your mother." I heard that all the time. "You're going to be just like your mother. You know, you are just like your mother." So he dropped me off at the guy's doorstep, and which I threw a fit. I wanted to go live with that guy. I did. So he gave me what I wanted. So I lived with him, and he became abusive while I was pregnant. Like he would not tie me down, but he would hold me down on the bed by my throat. I mean, belly out to here, holding me down on the bed by my throat, choking me out. I know 2 times that he would do it, and I would wake up. Like, I guess I had passed out, and it was scary.
Yeah, and so dangerous, you know?
Yeah, and I lived with his parents. And his mother would hear me, and she'd tell me the next day or something. She'd be like, "I don't know why you got to make him so mad." Yeah.
Well, of course, mommy's dating, you know, doing it.
Here I am, 17 years old, 9 months pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
Child, you know, yourself. She's shame on him anyways, you know, in the first place. And
well, I found out her husband did it to her too. Not that that's an excuse or nothing, but it was like a family
Stockholm syndrome or something. Yeah.
A family tradition. So, in their family, they didn't believe children being born out of wedlock. So 9 months pregnant, I got married on 9/9, and she was born 9/20. So yeah, the biggest blessing of my life. Like I never, like even up till then, I'd never done drugs, alcohol, none of that. You know what I'm saying? But I still didn't feel like I was good enough to be loved, and until I had her, and then I had a reason. And but he continued to be abusive, and like I didn't want my kids growing up without a dad. You know, if I have kids, I don't want them to be without a dad. I knew how that felt, but he wasn't a good dad. But I still couldn't figure out, like he wasn't a good dad at all. He was always cheating on me, and I got pregnant with my second 15 months later. Well, they're 15 months apart. My girls are. And that's when I thought, God, I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't
kids by him, like, you know, and what, so now at this point you're like 18, almost 19 years old, with 2 kids by a man that no doubt, you know, I obviously don't know, but I'm assuming was very mentally abusive and controlling. So, you know,
he was an alcoholic, bad alcoholic. Yeah.
So, you know,
that's
for
when he would,
that age.
That's when he would abuse me, was when he was drunk. So
yeah.
But I had walked into the room. Oh, my youngest daughter, she was about, I don't know, 7, 8 weeks old, and I heard her crying. And I had started drinking a little bit myself at this point. That's the only way I could deal with him, honestly, was for me to get a little buzz. So I went upstairs.
Nothing being around a drunk when you're not drunk, you know, like
that's the worst. But my mom was coming in and out of my life. Like she got married to a woman, and she moved back to Kentucky, and she was in and out. You know, she'd be there for a couple months and she'd disappear. Or even if she lived in the same town, I'd see her maybe every couple months. Like it's like she had kids, but she didn't want them.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was there, and we were partying a little bit that night. But Lexi, my youngest daughter, was like 7, 8 weeks old, and I heard her crying. I went upstairs, and he was slamming her on the floor because he said she would not stop crying. She wouldn't take the bottle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, my mom's wife.
So bad.
My mom's wife, I guess she heard it, so she come running up from behind me and had him pinned by his throat on the wall, and we kicked him out that night. Every bit of his stuff went out in the front yard. I got an EPO on him. Well,
was the baby okay?
She was okay. I took her to the hospital just to get her checked out. But yeah,
God.
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me.
I'm a sucker for babies, man.
And that was like the first time that I almost left him. I had my firstborn in my arms, and he had me down in a corner beating the crap out of me while she was in my arms. I almost left then. But then when he actually put his hands on my second, that was enough.
Good for you, because it's hard, and a lot of women still stay, and because sometimes they don't have a way out, or they don't feel like they can get out. I'm not knocking them, because domestic violence is, is a crazy everything, but like, good for you. Good for you to being able to get out and for having that the courage
Yeah.
and willpower.
Well, right before that, I don't even know why I didn't leave it this time, but my dad had a scanner, and we lived on Stavergine Road, and my dad had a scanner, and he heard it come across the radio that I had him doused in gasoline. That's when I was pregnant with Lexi. He, I had him doused in gasoline. I was about to light him up. He had me down the driveway kicking me.
I hate to smell it.
That was a real bad day. My dad got there before the cops did. But it was right after that. Well, she was born like 2 days later, and then right after that's when he done that, and I left him.
Yeah.
But I was one that never could be alone. Like I don't know. I moved on real fast. So my mom introduced me to somebody just got out of prison. Red flag, red flag. The more red flags, the better. Right. So, and all I was doing was I was just drinking a little bit, but it had to be whiskey. I couldn't do beer. It had to be something to do the job quick. But I met a guy that just got out of prison. He was really sweet. He was nice. He didn't drink or nothing. And I'd heard from people in town that he was a bad guy. But, I didn't do research, which I wish I did. But we were together 2 years. And then, we were together 2 years. I got pregnant with my son probably the first night we ever had sex. So my son, my first son, and then we got married 2 years later. And on our honeymoon, I believe, is when my second son was I have 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. So, by the time I'm almost 22, I have 4 under the age of 4 under the age of 5. Yeah, it was crazy. But I just loved babies. I loved kids, and I was good at being a mom, But he worked. He was an electrician. Like he took care of us. Like, was he a
good dad?
He was a very good dad. He was a good dad to my girls. And I told my first husband, that I wouldn't get him for child support as long as he stayed away. And that was good enough for me. I never asked him for a penny. And, my second husband, he took care of them, took care of all the needs we had. And about 6 months after we got married, he started drinking whiskey and taking Xanaxes. Turned him into a complete monster. A complete monster.
It's a terrible combination,
Bad combination. The thing is, though, like, he had a lot of anger problems, more than my first husband. He never put his hands on me. Like, he was more emotionally, and like, he could, the words that come out of his mouth hurt so bad. Like, I wouldn't even.
The worst, dude. I'd almost rather like slap me in the face. I'll get over that. That'll make me mad. But like, if you say like, like words, shoo.
He had my self-esteem so low. When I went to stores, I looked at the ground. Like, my self-esteem was so bad, and it was like that for years, even after, But he.
I hate that for you. You're beautiful. I'm sure inside, just
thank
like
you.
I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad that you pulled through and everything that's came your way. I'm super glad.
Well, thank you. So he wound up going to prison. He was breaking into people's houses, and he was getting drunk and just being a terror in Georgetown. So he wound up going to prison. He was already out on parole, so he was gone for a while. That's a lot longer story, but that's his story, So it was bad. And so by the time I say Braden my youngest was about 8 months old, he wound up going to prison. I took the kids to see him one time, and their reaction and the way they acted, I just never took them back. I never took them back.
It's hard.
It was very hard. Yeah. They were too young. They didn't understand.
And especially like if they were in a county jail where it was like, sometimes it's just a little screen, or sometimes it's just through a window. Like, kids don't understand,
No, they had the window visits back then, but they just like I don't know. I just can't. Yeah. I couldn't do it.
Especially like an 8-month-old, they're going to want like that. They're like, daddy, like that sucks.
And, so I did it by myself for a while. I wound up getting 2 jobs. the kids had so many uncles, I couldn't tell you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was bad. I shouldn't have brought guys around my kids until I knew it was going to be a relationship. But I started selling pills, and that's where the uncles came from. They would wind up moving in with me, help me move pills, and it was a lot of income. But that's why I had 2 jobs, and then I started doing that. But I kept my little serving job, for a reason of why I had money, obviously.
Right.
But I was really good at it. And I did this I started doing the Florida trips. I was sponsoring people to go down to Florida. I was making a lot of money.
Yeah, I remember those days. There was a lot of money in
it. And then I met Chad. And Chad, I'll say his name because he's gone now. But I just miss him a lot. We were together for 10 years. But when I met him, I was actually selling pills to him. And I still hadn't touched any. I hadn't done none. But he made a Florida trip one time, and I went to my job, and I would always front the servers, and they'd pay me in tips later in the night. My back was hurting so bad one night, and she had one busted up on the counter, and I was like, here, I'm gonna do some of that, and that's all it took. And my mouth was running, my tips doubled, because I was just going, And I was like, damn, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And in your mind, in the moment, best thing ever, and
Yep.
that's all it takes.
Yeah. And a lot of people, even my family, they blame Chad. They think Chad is because Chad just came into my life right when I did it. So they blame him. They think that he's the reason I got hooked on drugs, but it's not.
But he wasn't even there, huh?
No, he was in Florida. But when he came back, we got good and high. But his girlfriend that he left to come be with me wound up calling social services on me. She called the cops on me, and she called housing on me. And they all 3 showed up at once. I got busted. They took my kids. I got kicked out of housing. I had possession charges, and they had a guy come in, wear a wire on me, all for 2 15s. But this guy came in and was actually playing with my kids on the kitchen floor and everything the same day that he was wearing a wire.
My dad got busted one time, and he said that I was not born yet, but that the guy come in and it was a friend of his and was playing with my sister on the tape, of the wire. And
yeah, it's so sickening. When I watched the video, he was literally playing with my kids on the kitchen floor, and I was in the kitchen packing up his stuff. And he was only there for 2 15s. And I had a feeling, because he never bought 15s. He never bought those. And I just had a feeling
that you had dealt with before and knew.
Yeah. I only let some people come to my house, and he was one of them. But I lost my kids, I lost my housing. But in 6 months time, with the help of my dad, because my dad was doing Florida trips too, he got me a nice brick house right next to his house in Stamping Ground. We moved in. We got a car. We did all this within 6 months and got my kids back. I was not playing around.
Good, yeah.
I did everything.
I get it, man. When I had my oldest daughter in prison, and when I stepped out of prison, I got out of prison on October 22nd. December 5th, I got all my rights back. I was like, I'm not playing.
I was not playing.
The day I got out of prison doing drywall, I was like, I want my kid, dude.
Yep. So that lasted for a little while, and then I guess that's when I found out what real addiction was. I don't know. My dad was still doing them. He's right next door. You know what I'm saying? And the money is an addiction too. So I started selling them again, and because I did have a job, but I lost my job. So then I was like, fuck, I can't lose my house. I can't lose my car. I can't lose my kids again. So I started selling them again. I was helping my dad sell them. And it was crazy, man. I started doing them again, and I knew better. But addiction is really a disease. So I lost my car. because business got real low. Lola, come here. Lola, hush. Thank you, babe. So I wound up, like, this is fast forward a little bit, but I wound up losing my car, losing my house. And I was literally on the streets. Me and my dad got into a big fight. So I went to my mom in the freaking trailer park, and me and her don't get along, but we was getting along a little bit, and her and Chad never got along because she thought Chad got me hooked on drugs. So I was like, look, I'm standing here with 4 kids. I'm literally homeless. I've never been this low in my life. And I asked her to stay, and she told me no. She said the kids can stay, but me and Chad couldn't stay. Well, I'm not staying nowhere without my kids. I'm not leaving my kids with her. So, and there's a story about her. I'm not going to put it on the World Wide Web, but there's a story about her that I just don't. I love my mom. I love her dearly, but I didn't trust her around my kids. And there was a reason for that. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, she wouldn't take us in. So the guy that was giving us a ride, he had a little 2-seater, and like the back, I don't even know what kind of car it is. There was no back seat, and he had me, Chad, him, and 4 kids in his car, and we didn't know where we were going. And so I literally went to social services, and because they told me if I ever needed anything to come to them. And my dumbass went up to the office, and I was dope sick. And I guess that was noticeable. And I walked in and I asked them for help, and they told me to leave and leave my kids there. And Chad was behind me. He's like, let's just go. And I said, if I leave, they're going to call the cops. And I know they're going to call the cops. So I'll never forget that day. The screams. The way my oldest coddled the babies, like trying to keep them calm. She was always a mother hen. Yeah, it was a horrible day. So I went straight that night. We went to Chad's brother's in Nicholasville, and he had a bunch of 30s and a needle. And I said, why not?
Why not? I mean, that's dude.
Yeah, so that night I started shooting up, and that's when I knew I was gone. It was too late. I did not stay in contact with social services. I just left. I wound up leaving state, went to Florida. Just like my dad said, I was just like my mom. I did every footstep she made in life. And it's almost like I did it on purpose, but not intentionally. Like it just fell in place for me. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was crazy. Yeah, I wound up like hitchhiking to Florida. Had a miscarriage on the way. Like literally, the tractor trailers that pull the car, that have the cars on the racks. I was in one of the cars on the rack of the tractor trailer. Chad was up front with the driver, and I was in a car, and I had a miscarriage in the car. It was crazy. And I had warrants. Warrants out for me for the what's it called? Not possession, but distributing. I had warrants out for that because I still hadn't, took care of that. And I ran for about 6 years before they caught me. They caught me with a little bit of cocaine in Florida. And that was a whole mess. Like a little bicycler wore a wire on us. It was crazy. But you don't
beach cops down there, dude. I was down in Florida one time, and this Baywatch beach cop rolled up on me.
We got pulled over by like a 1997 Ford van. Like I was like, what is going on? But you don't buy drugs from a guy on a bicycle behind 7-Eleven. Like that's just stupid, And that's exactly what we did. But
they busted you after you bought dope.
Well, we bought the dope, and the whole time we're sitting there, I'm looking at this van across the way, and I'm like, there was a light on in the back of it, and I told him, and he kept calling me paranoid, and that was one of my pet peeves. I couldn't stand that because I knew when I got high, I would get paranoid, but sometimes that shit was real. And I told him that, and that was the damn vehicle that pulled us over. We even did a line of it, and then driving down the road.
Was the bicycle guy, like, was he a cop or were they just watching him?
I think he was working with the cops.
With them, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so weird. Usually, like, they want the drug sellers, not the drug buyers.
I know.
You know, but
And it was only a 20 bag. That's all it was. Yeah.
it's crazy though. Like,
yeah. But once they got me in there, they found out I had all those warrants from Kentucky, and they literally banned me from that state. They told me that they was shipping me back to Kentucky, and they did not ever want to see me back. If I ever got caught in Florida again, it would be like those charges will stay pending the rest of my life. But they're not going to do nothing unless I go back. So, yeah, it's crazy. So I come up here, I did my little time, I got out, and me and Chad just like, we were just self-destruct mode. I think I visited with my kids once or twice in a whole decade. I didn't want to be in and out like my mom was. I felt like that was more disturbing to a child. And plus them seeing me in my addiction, like, and then I find out that they'd heard stories, about me. I got addicted to overdosing, literally. After Chad, well, I fast forward a little bit. So there's such a big peak. How long have we been on here?
About 30 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I wound up going to jail in Woodford County, and they I had court the next day. They pulled me out the night before and told me that he OD'd. I'd been with him for 10 years. We've been to hell and back with each other. And that is the worst news you can get in jail. The worst news. Your parents dying, or, your significant other dying. And then they tell me, like, the girl down the street had one Narcan. If they'd had more Narcan, they probably would have been able to save him. So I always carry 2 Narcans on me.
And to think that they're wanting to cut the Narcan grants, man. Like, I saved people's life. Like,
yeah.
Literally same situation with my dad. They had just ran out. They didn't have any. They just ran out. Like, they had just used their Narcan on somebody else, like a few days or something before. Like, I remember I was in prison, but I was still calling home, and I remember them telling me, like, oh, somebody had, like, fell out and they had used their Narcan and, like, got to get some more. And then,
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so sad. But I wound up getting out. Like, my dad brought a paper up to the judge the next day and was telling him what was going on. Like, he was pretty much my husband. We weren't married because I was still a coomer. I was still married to my husband in jail, in prison, the boy's dad. And he would not divorce me. As many times as I sent papers to the prison, he would not sign them. And I couldn't afford a lawyer to get it taken care of. And plus, I was in the addiction. I didn't really, mess with the courts.
It really matters.
Courts as I could. So I just kept his name and moved on. But we planned on getting married. We were engaged. He did propose to me. A lot of people would call it unethical because I was married to another man, but whatever. Yeah. So I went. My dad came and got me out. That's the first time ever my dad came to court for me, or he was there to pick me up. He wound up dropping me off with my stepmom because she was at work, but because he drive for a tow truck company, and he had a call, but he was there, and it meant a lot to me because I thought that he had disowned me, and he told me that day, and I hated him for it for a long time. He don't know that, but I did. I hated him for it for a long time because he told me, he said that he thought it was, how did he say it? There was a reason that I was in jail, because if I'd been with Chad, I would have died too. He was almost saying like it was a blessing that I wasn't there with him.
And I know that probably hurt, like, in the moment, like you said, you were mad at him, but like, he just he's just grateful that you are still here. I said the same when I am grateful that I was locked up when my dad died, because that was my person. We were so close, and I needed to be where I was.
Well, and that's, another thing. Like, he was, I can't remember how he said it, but he was like, it's time for me to do something. And I would have, like, Chad was dragging me down. And honestly, like, there was so many times when I would try to get away from Chad and try to do better, but I use that to my advantage a lot, because there was a time I literally broke up with him for like 6 months, and I was with a best friend. I only had one best friend ever since like grade school. She would always come over to my nana's, and that would keep my nana's husband out of the room. He would come in there if my best friend was there. But I would go hang out with her, and she showed me Backpage. I don't know if you ever heard of Backpage.
Minutes. It's been such a long time, but I was like, I didn't. Yeah.
So that was the lowest point in my life. Lowest point ever. When you wake up and you got 4 appointments to go fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the lowest point in my life. And I knew I wasn't the only girl out there that was going to have sex to get money and drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Backpage was huge, especially, when the heroin and fentanyl hit the scene.
And that's when I started doing it. I had just, like, the pills were not doing it. I started shooting heroin.
I said that on my last episode, that's how it is, because when you start out on pills and then like heroin is cheaper and stronger, and it just
and they started once they shut Florida down, like the pills were $30, $35, $40 a piece, like compared to $3 a piece like we was getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not paying that. And the heroin even lasted longer. It was more dangerous. But I was doing Backpage, and I literally I just remember so many times laying there just wishing I was dead. Just wishing I was dead. Wishing he'd go ahead and get it over with so I could get another shot. That's all I cared about. I did not care about nothing but that next shot. And I OD'd so many times. After Chad died, I got out, and I told my dad, sitting in that car, I was like, I'm going to do the right thing. I did not. I went straight to my mom. My mom was in a hotel. She was smoking Ren. I don't know if you know what that is. Ren, that synthetic marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
They were making it in Motel 6.
I've never heard it called that, but yeah.
Ren, there's so many Spice.
They call it Spice. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I've heard.
They were making it and selling it all over Georgetown.
How the hell do you even make it?
Like, when you walked in the hallway of Motel 6, you could smell it. And I was like, y'all are going to get busted. But I didn't care. I just went in there and I chilled with my mom. We got drunk. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have some fentanyl delivered. And she's like, no, you're not. Yeah, I am. And she was doing it with me. She started doing it with me. I'd smoke this, like, I'd hit a spice joint once or twice, and I'd start freaking seeing shit. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't hang with them on that.
Yeah.
I felt like something was sitting on my chest. I couldn't do it. But I wound up finding a guy from Carlisle, worst city in the freaking universe. And he came to my mom's motel room and picked me up. He was a dope boy. And he used me for anything he could. He would give me to his dope boys anytime that he, didn't have the money to re-up, things like that. And then get mad at me for it. And then beat me for it. Yeah, when I came back. That was, and I didn't care because I was getting dope. Whatever he had in his pocket, I knew he was going to get me high. So I dealt with it. I dealt with a lot of things from that man. That man was horrible. People say narcissist, and that is an understatement for that man. Like, I could tell you stories all day long with him. But I feel like it would traumatize me right now to even think about him. I did all kinds of stuff. But the darker the shot, the better for me. I'm sorry if it triggers anybody, but literally, the darker, the more solid it was. I'd wake up, and whoever Narcaned me, I was fighting them. I would fight whoever Narcaned me. I did a whole gram of some, like, you could take a quarter pack of this and OD almost. And I took a whole gram, went out in the middle of the woods and shot it up, and woke up 18 hours later on the ground, freezing to death. I don't know how. I don't know why. It made no sense to me. Like, there was no one around to Narcan me. I don't know how I didn't die. I'll never understand that. So I went back to the trap house, and I did another shot in the bathroom, and I OD'd. And I don't know, like, after Chad died, I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe nothing. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing out there. And I had no reason to live. I had nothing. And I woke up and I hit my knees and I said, if you exist, please do something, because I can't do this anymore. And I got arrested the next morning. Trap house got busted. I got arrested, and I sat down in that jail cell, and I told myself, I'm going to do whatever the judge tells me to do. And like, I might have grandbabies one day. Are they ever going to know me? Am I even going to live to see that? Like, all this stuff was going through my head. And, I knew I didn't deserve the things that had happened to me, but I believed at that time that it was all my fault. I put myself in those situations, So, I did my little jail bit, state time. I got a job in the kitchen at the jail. There was drugs coming in and out of the kitchen. I didn't touch it. When you can turn down drugs in jail, you're doing something. I knew I was doing something at that point. I went to AA there. That's where I learned about AA. I'd heard about it all the time. I never tried it. And so when I got out, like the whole time, I did have a sugar daddy, and it was that dope boy's dad. The one that treated me bad, it was his dad. It was my sugar daddy. For a while, he didn't even know it. He had suspicion, but yeah, I knew I had to call him, and I was like, if I go back there, I know what I'm going into. So I had a little sneaky little plan, because he was my only way. I didn't have nobody that trusted me at this point. So I had him come pick me up, and he gave me some money, took me and got me some new shoes. And the whole time I had this plan in my head. So we went back to his trailer, and he had dope in his pocket, and he wound up passing out in his bedroom, and I hadn't touched nothing yet. I was starting to have cravings for it, but my youngest daughter messaged me on a phone that he just bought me, and she said, "Are you out? Where are you?" And I told her, and she came right to where I was at, and I hadn't seen her in years. And her and her boyfriend sat down, and they talked to me, and I was messaging my oldest daughter, and like, I was just so happy to hear from them, and I just wanted to see pictures and just see how they were doing. And
cravings went away, didn't they?
My oldest daughter found a sober living in Georgetown, and she's like, they didn't know nothing about addiction, or what I'm saying, but they did research. My oldest, and they did research, and they found a sober living. They got a hold of the woman. The woman got a hold of me. She said, just get here.
Baby.
Just get here, and we'll get rid of him. Because I told her, I was like, if I have him bring me, he's going to know where I'm at. Like, he's a crazy sugar daddy. He spent a lot of money on me. So, and he can be real dangerous. And so she brought me to one house, but not the house I was going to be living at. So, and then as soon as he paid my rent, she told him, there's no males allowed on property. You've got to leave. And he was pretty mad about it. But, yeah, I went to sober living, which I wound up, like, I loved that woman, but I wound up moving sober living houses to Oxford House. I say Oxford House is what saved my life. But that woman wound up telling him where I moved to, and that was pretty messed up.
That is like unethical. And so, I mean, maybe it's just because I've been like ethics classes at one after another where I'm getting ready to do my certification, but that is wrong on.
But I mean, I wasn't even at her house for 5 hours, and he paid her $400. She wouldn't even give that back. Like, she kept the money, got mad because I left, and then and the reason I left was because I didn't want to do IOP. Anything structured, I didn't want. I wanted to do this alone, and it probably to a lot of people was like, that's not the way to do it, but that's why I wanted to do it.
But it's your choice. Ultimately, it's your choice. Like, that is something that they are pushing on us so big in our ethics classes, like that we are not supposed to guide you or even advise you on how to like do your recovery. You are supposed to make all those choices on your own. So that's just.
But I just wanted to get a job, get a car, and be a part of my kids' lives if they allowed that, So yeah.
How old are your kids at this point?
Huh?
How old are your kids at this point?
Now?
No, at the when you were rehab.
They were, let's see.
I was just curious because you said like
18,
the youngest just came right to you. I was just curious how old she
yeah,
was.
18, 17, 16, and 15 or 14. Yeah. And the boys got adopted, by the way. The boys got adopted. The girls went to their dad and stepmom, and they did not have a pleasant life there at all. Some things happened to my daughter that I won't put on the web, but he's lucky. He's lucky I don't blow his brains out. To be honest, I know I'm live, but
People,
yeah,
over our kids, man. It is.
yeah. I mean, in the whole decade that I was gone and getting high, I kept making excuses. Oh, they're better off, things like that. And the girls definitely weren't. The boys got raised by good people, and they're very happy, but the girls definitely didn't. They're damaged. But I have 2 grandbabies, and I have one on the way. 2 grandsons. My oldest has my 9-month-old grandson, and then my youngest daughter has he'll be 2 in February, and she's pregnant with my granddaughter.
And guess what? You get to know them.
Yes. And that I just remember sitting and thinking I might never see that. And I really in my head thought that was never going to happen for me. I thought that even if I ever did try to get clean or if that was ever possible, my kids would never forgive me. They wouldn't want to be a part of my life, and I wouldn't blame them at all. And they definitely was never going to let me around their kids, but now I get like weekly visitations. They come over here, and my daughter just throws him to me, and she goes and she does my little thing here at the house, and I'll sit and play with him. And every Thursday they come over, and I swear he changes by the week, like his facial features and everything. And I'm like, oh, stop growing. My almost 2-year-old, I don't get to see him as much because they live in Dry Ridge, but she knows she saved my life. She knows she saved my life. And because if I hadn't got out of that trailer that night, like I would have went right back into it.
God is good, man. I've got chills. I've got chills all over me. That's crazy. You're just like, you're like, I was just starting to crave it. And then lo and behold, ding, phone goes off, and it's, and it's God. And he's saying, don't do it, man,
Yeah. And the thing about Oxford House was you have to go to 5 AA meetings a week. And I kind of felt like it was a little pushy. I mean, I did try AA, but I did it. And I found a solution. Like I literally found a solution. I got a sponsor, and I unloaded all this crap onto her. And we sorted through it literally piece by piece by piece by piece. And I just felt the weight lifted off of me. And it's just like all those, stupid little phrases like keep coming back and, it works if you work it and change, nothing
one
changes.
day at a time.
Like, all that stuff used to aggravate the crap out of me until I actually lived it. And then I understood it better. And like my daughter, when we go to like the fair or something, and I remember one time a lady got in front of me and I just let her go on. And my daughter was like, Mom, normally you would like cuss that woman out. And I was like, honey, I worked a program today. Like that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. And she's like, I want a program. I don't know. It's just,
but
I worked at factory for a while. I worked at factories. And I even walked to work. I walked to work the first few months. I finally saved up money, got me a car. And then, I just literally work the steps every day. And I wound up getting my car. And then I met another man. And I told myself I wasn't ever going to fall in love again, ever. But I found my best friend at the sober living. You've met her, Stacy. That's the love of my life. I love her. If she wasn't married, But I met my husband. Well, he's my husband now. Stepdad to my children. My children accept him, all but one. My oldest son, he's a little asshole, but I love him. He doesn't come around much. My youngest, he's about to graduate, and this is my baby. I get to see him sometimes. He's got a car now. He comes down sometimes, but yeah, most of my time was with my oldest and my youngest grandbaby, but yeah, my life has changed like dramatically. After a year, me and my new husband being together, he proposed to me. We moved out of sober, like he was in sober living. My best friend's husband was in a sober living separately. We were in like we all left sober living, got a house. We're just doing the damn thing now, and I've been working in recovery for 2 years now. I work at Recovery Works here in Georgetown. I'm about to get a promotion. It's crazy. It's crazy how life is compared to how it used to be. I never seen this. Never.
Is the Recovery Works in Georgetown? Is that a Pinnacle treatment?
Yeah.
I was just curious. I'll message you after the show. I have a question for you.
Okay. Yeah. I've been there 2 years, and I'm filling out like my questionnaires, and I have to do online test exams, and I'm getting promoted, so I'm pretty happy about that.
That's great. So, what are you going to be?
I'm PCS. I'm a patient care specialist. I do have my peer support, but they only have like the peer support that's there. He's really a PCS like us. His title is peer support, but they don't really take peer support there. We do the peer support pretty much. You don't have to have your peer support, but I do. But yeah, there's PCS tier 1, 2, and 3, and I'm about to be promoted to tier 3. So, and then the next stage up is manager. So. I don't really want that job. Like, I love working in recovery. I love helping people. But, honey, it's not all rainbows and sunshine, I promise you. There are days where I'm just like, oh, my God, if I don't go home soon.
I know. And especially, like, I know how hard of a client I could have been when I didn't want it effort. I went to so many rooms because I had to, and I did not want to be there, and I didn't care, and I wouldn't give them anything, and like, I know that I'm going to get my, like when you have a kid, it's like, however you were 10, that's going to be like, my patients are going to be like, my payback.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I was doing day shift. I was teaching groups, doing notes. Like, I loved that part of it. I love teaching them things that I've learned and showing them ways that I did it, because I want that for all of them. But now I've switched, after being there for 2 years, I've switched to night shift, which is what my best friend works. And last night we actually both worked the same shift together for the first time. And for the first time on the hill. But yeah, I just loved it. It's the best job, really. Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited for you, and I love it that, like, your kids, even after all that time, like, that's what saved your life, and that's probably what it took. That's probably like sort of anything. Like, what else would have really helped that night? Like that, it's crazy how, like, you got exactly what you need, and I love that for like, and I love it that I had something else written down, and now I don't know what it says. I scribbled. Okay.
I do that all the time. I can't read my own handwriting. It's horrible.
Like, I get like, well, because I like I get to where, like, I'll notice I'm looking down and I'm like, God, I need to like pay, I don't know, like, trying to like look at you and it's like slant it down the page. Well, we actually hit right on the mark. It is 5:25. If anybody is watching that has any comments or questions, now is a good time to do that. And I really appreciate your story, and I encourage you, reach back out to me. And I want to message you after the show. I'm going to ask you a question about your work, but yeah, and we'll figure out in time to get you back on here, and we can talk about anything you want. If you want to talk about, anything, building the relationships with your kids, or your relationship now with your partner, or anything program specific. If you want to get on here and hype up AA, I'm good with that. We do that sometimes, where people kind of explain a little bit more about pathways, so that, because every pathway is different and everybody's recovery is different. So somebody that could be working AA could not like it, or somebody that could be working smart recovery could not like that and want to switch to, anything. So,
I have a question. And I don't know that she'll do it, but I'm going to ask her if you approve of it. So
it doesn't tell me who, but someone said, "So proud of you, Mom." So I'm assuming
all three of my kids are watching.
That's so excited.
I can't see it. Oh.
No, I'm sorry, but what was your question?
Well, So, like, I think it's awesome to have the point of view of the child of an addict. And my youngest, thought about doing it. I don't know if she's still going to, but she spoke at my 2-year celebration, I think it was, and it just blew people away. And I was going to ask her if maybe she might want to do the point of view of the child of an addict.
Absolutely. I have a couple people that I'm getting lined up that are just, family members, friends, even. I have a gentleman whose fiance died of, from addiction and whatever. And he's going to tell, their story. And yeah, because addiction, that's the whole point of this platform. Like, I don't care if we're a decade clean, if we're in the mess right now and you need some inspiration, we're here for you. If, addiction touches our friends and family, by all means, I would love that. And I think that's, just like it's important for us. Like I said, I like to get a little bit in the mess, but not too much, but because I think it's for people, I think it's also important for other people, other family members to hear your daughter's story and how you guys have repaired that bond and that it is possible, and because maybe somebody's parents still using and they need to hear that, that there's hope for their parent. So absolutely, by all means. And the child of yours that is watching right now is Michaela.
She said what?
Michaela.
Oh, that's my oldest. That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, her speech blew people away. Like, they still talk about that speech.
I'll get to experience it soon. I would love that. Yeah, by all means, we'll set it up, because I think it's so important to we want everybody to know that how we can come. I don't care who you are, how far you are in, or I'm doing that in quotes, or what you've done, how how bad of things that you've done, man, you can come back from them. I promise. Like, and the people in your life that are supposed to forgive you, that are supposed to be in your life, will forgive you in their time. Like, may not be in our time, may not be when we want them to.
Yeah.
But if they are supposed to be in our lives, they will, and it will happen. So
yeah.
Well, it is time. So we'll end this for tonight, but I would definitely get with you. And thank you, Michaela, for watching. And hopefully, we get to know each other soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for being here.
Bye-bye.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me, might smoke bed in heaven, got a whole